I'm pressing
Okay.
the forward button. So, hello everyone, my loved ones, my lovies. Welcome to the 15th week of A Course in Miracles lesson. We are, on lesson 15. Let me real quick read the title of lesson 15, and I encourage everyone to continue to do your lessons every day. This is this doing the lessons every day and doing the instructions. Um, that's where the transformation happens. This group, we're kind of building each other up and kind of learning and holding each other up, but the actual transformation of our minds to release those things that we have adopted when we were younger, and those beliefs that hold us back. This is the process, doing these lessons every day. So lesson 15 says, my thoughts are images that I have made. And I'll just read the first paragraph. It says, it is because the thoughts you think appear as images that you do not recognize them as nothing. You think them, and so you think you see them. This is how your seeing was made. This is the function you have given your body's eyes. It is not seeing, it is image making. It takes the place of seeing, replacing vision with illusion. Um, this lesson reminds me of uh, something that was written where uh, when Christopher Columbus or somebody in the New World went to an indigenous land, and the islanders on the land did not see the boat coming up on the shore because they had never seen the boat. So even though the boat was coming, they didn't see it. They did not see it. And they were saying that one of the elders there felt something is coming, like there's somebody alien to our land is coming ashore, that he had an intuition. But the people, because they did could not shape it with their thoughts and their minds, they had never experienced something called a boat. Their eyes did not see it. And this lesson reminds me of that. And Jesus often talks about true vision in A Course in Miracles. And we've talked about, I know, like we've talked about, some of us in the group, how your vision starts to change. You see and perceive things that you didn't see at first. There is much more to life than what our eyes can perceive and see. We have so many beings around us. We have what Jesus calls reality. What we see is not reality. We see the illusion. But there are so many other things around us than what our natural human eyes can perceive. So that lesson is a powerful lesson. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the principles of miracles. I'm going to read principles 38 through 40. And principle 38 says, the Holy Spirit is the mechanism of miracles. He recognizes both God's creations and your illusions. He separates the true from the false by his ability to perceive totally rather than selectively. 39 says, the miracle dissolves error because the Holy Spirit identifies error as false or unreal. This is the same as saying that by perceiving light, darkness automatically disappears. And 40 says, the miracle acknowledges everyone as your brother and mine. It is a way of perceiving the universal mark of God. So today I wanted us to talk about managing our emotions. Um, I feel like now, we are at a stage where we're going deeper and deeper into our experience in our bodies. And so it's tough being human. It's tough being a human being. We've talked about the ego voice. We've talked about God's voice. We've talked about having spiritual sight. We have all this different stimuli. So I wanted us to delve into managing our emotions, and processing and interpreting our emotions and how to manage them so that we may learn more about ourselves. As in every week, I'm getting information from channel text, material that has been channeled from Jesus. Tonight, I will be referring to a channeling that Jesus did through a woman. Her name is Pamela Cribb. I put the website in the chat. It's www.jeshua.net. It's an amazing site. It has channelings from Jesus, from Mary Magdalene, from Mother Earth. It's an incredible resource. And I came across this website very early in my spiritual awakening. And it's so loving. It's so powerful. You learn so much about yourself on this site, and it's all free. They have consolidated all the channelings and put them in a book, and they sell them, but all the links are free. So I will specifically be referencing the text titled Dealing with Emotions, channeled by Jesus. So I'll start out by saying that Eckhart Tolle states that emotion arises at the place where the mind and the body meet. It is the body's reaction to your mind. Jesus says that emotions are energies that have a clear manifestation in the physical body. Emotions are reactions to things that you do not really understand. For example, someone insults you and you feel yourself becoming angry, right? It starts in the abdomen and you can feel that energy like, oh, I can't believe she said that. Like you feel it in your body. It's tense. Uh, uh, so in short, the not understanding, your reaction to what was said or done is vented through the emotion. When this happens, you are confronted with the following choice. What am I going to do with this emotion? Am I going to base my actual behavior on how I feel right now? Or am I going to use this as fuel for my reactions to other people? Or do I let the emotion be and base my actions on something else? So we're going to delve into some of the ways that we can kind of sit with how we feel. So when we are highly emotional, right? The ego feeds us thoughts which stimulate more emotion. So someone says something, you feel that emotion come up, and then you have the thought, she's done this before. I can't believe, or he's done this before. He said that before. If she do that one more time, you have that thought. And then that thought stimulates your emotion again. And so it creates this momentum where the thoughts and the emotions stimulate each other. So, it fuels subsequent thoughts to support our position of being right and the other person being wrong. And in this way, your thoughts and your emotions, they build a momentum that can be difficult to interrupt. Emotions always have something very intense and dramatic to them. Consider anxiety attacks, how powerful that feels in our bodies. If anybody has had an anxiety attack where just immediately you have this fight or flight response and you have no idea where it came from, or fear or rage or deep sadness. In the moment you're highly emotional, you're full of a kind of energy that pulls you away from your center, your inner clarity. Uh, so emotions are clearly capable of sweeping us off our feet. However, emotions should not be judged or repressed. They are a vital part of who we are as human beings, and as such, they need to be respected and accepted. You can look upon your emotions as your children who need your attention, your respect, and your guidance. An emotion can best be viewed as an energy that comes to you for healing. Therefore, it is important to not be completely swept away by the emotion, but to remain able to look at it from a neutral stance. It is important to stay conscious and present. Uh, Jesus says, one might put it like this: you should not repress an emotion, but you should not drown in it either. Because when you drown in it, when you identify with it completely, the child in you becomes a tyrant that will lead you astray. Many times as adults, we are okay with being angry, right? Right? Especially if we think we have been wrong. But if we are sad and need to release that energy, some of us will not allow ourselves to actually go into that and cry. That's when you have this lump in your throat where you like, I'm not gonna cry. However, we need to realize that emotions are energy in motion. That's what an emotion is: energy in motion. It wants to move and be released. As long as you keep the emotion at a distance, you are at war with it. You are fighting the emotion, and it will turn against you in several ways. You cannot keep it outside in the end. It will manifest itself in your body as an ache or tension, or as a feeling of depression, feeling down or weary. Frequently is a clear sign that you're repressing certain emotions. Sometimes we may have an emotion and have no idea where it came from. This happened to me a few months ago, and I was sharing with a friend that the body is older than the mind. There was a time when we did not have this ego that told us these thoughts all the time. When we heard voices, it was straight from spirit. Um, so a few months ago, I was at the store buying some last minute items to cook dinner, and I felt just so heavy in my heart, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, why do I feel so sad? And so initially, I was pushing the feeling away, like, I'm tripping, like, let me just keep it moving. But this sadness would not, it just wouldn't go away. I just felt heavy. And so I had to ask myself, why do I had to inquire within, like, why do I feel like this? Why am I sad? What is going on? It wasn't how I was feeling was not consistent with my environment, right? Um, and it didn't immediately come to me, but after I continued to search my heart and my mind, I realized that when I was heavily embroiled in a custody battle with my ex-husband, Sundays were the day that we would meet at the police station for me to get the kids back from his parenting time. And let's just say the meetings were not very high in vibration, okay? It was full of stress and tension, and my routine was to cook dinner on Sundays, the Sundays that I had to pick them up before I picked the kids up. So after I did some investigation, I realized that, yes, okay, today is Sunday and I'm getting ready to cook. And so it was like I had muscle memory, and my mind and my body experienced that sadness, even though I was no longer in that situation. So the sadness was an energy that came up for healing. Our emotions have messages for us. So after realizing the root cause of the emotion, I just surrounded myself with love and reminded myself everything is okay. You're good. You're unconditionally loved. You know that I told myself you're no longer involved in the custody battle with your ex, and that even if you were, that everything is okay. There's no need to be sad. Um, and even though it was unpleasant, I did not resist the emotion, because when we resist an emotion, we pretty much are telling it, go away. You should not be here. You shouldn't be here. Go away. And as Jesus stated, emotions come to us for healing, not rejection. And eventually, once acknowledged, understood, and once I surrounded it by love, it will flow. It will flow away, and it did. So Jesus says the ways that we deal with children is a direct reflection of how we handle our emotions. How do you cope with your emotions? Are you hard on yourself? When you feel angry or sad for some time, do you discipline yourself by saying, come on, get it together, move on? Why are you still dealing with this? Why are you still crying about this? Do you do yourself like that? Do you suppress the emotion? Do you feel like disciplining yourself is good and necessary? And who taught you this? Or do you go to the other side? Do you wallow in your emotion, not wanting to let go of it? This also is frequently the case. You may have felt, for a long time that you were a victim of some situation outside of you. Like maybe your upbringing or your partner or your work environment. At a certain moment, it may have been very liberating to get in touch with anger inside of you about a negative thing that influenced you. Anger can be productive. Anger can enable you to break free from a situation and go your own way. However, you may get so enamored with your anger that you do not want to give it up anymore. I used to be like that as a young adult. So instead of becoming a doorway, it becomes a way of living, a form of victimhood then arises, which is anything but healing. It holds you back from truly standing in your own power. So the most important thing that we can do with an emotion is to breathe and allow it in, to feel all aspects of it while not losing our presence, our consciousness. So in the instance of anger, you can invite anger to be fully present, experiencing it in your body at several places, while you are at the same time neutrally observing it, observing how it expresses itself in your body, observing the thoughts that it generates. This type of consciousness is healing. What happens in this instance is that you embrace the emotion, which is essentially a form of misunderstanding. You have embraced it with understanding. This is called spiritual alchemy, where you transform it into something else. It is also very important to allow that energy to dissolve before you act. The energy of fear will contaminate the quality of your actions, We talked a little bit about this when we talked about the power of now, with Eckhart Tolle. Wait until you are in a space of surrender or acceptance before you move to act. That different energy, that surrendered energy, will bring a higher quality to your action. Suppressed emotions become corrupt and has damaging impacts on us individually and collectively. A lot of men are out of touch with their emotions and are essentially emotionally unavailable in their romantic relationships. And this is largely due to the fact that as young boys, they were not allowed to cry. Their parents would yell at them, don't cry. You better not cry. And tell them that from fear that they'll be weak or soft. And this, in essence, cuts them off from their own heart chakra. This, unfortunately, is a common practice and is very damaging to the emotional stability of our children. And these boys grow up to men, and the women are like, where are you? There's no connection. And it's unfortunate. We cannot be afraid of our emotions. They are the doorway to our healing and our freedom. It is the part of us that wants to stay in control, right? When we don't want to delve into emotions. How many of us have had a good cry? And after that cry, you feel so light and so cleansed, and you just take a deep breath, and it's like, oh, that's because we allowed that energy to move in us and to express itself, and we released it. To allow it is very healing and very powerful. I'm going to end tonight by reading Conversations with God, book 3. I'm doing book 3 tonight, y'all. Pages 32 through 30 through 34. And it perfectly describes the impacts of repressed emotions in children. So Neale asks, about, he's like, God, tell us about the 5 natural emotions. So God said, grief is a natural emotion. It's that part of you which allows you to say goodbye when you want to say goodbye. No, it allows you to say goodbye when you don't want to say goodbye. To express, push out, propel the sadness within you at the experience of any kind of loss. It could be the loss of a loved one or the loss of a contact lens. When you are allowed to express your grief, you get rid of it. Children who are allowed to be sad when they are sad feel very healthy about sadness when they are adults, and therefore usually move through their sadness very quickly. Children who are told they're there, don't cry, have a hard time crying as adults. After all, they've been told all their life not to do that. So they repress their grief. Grief that is continually repressed becomes chronic depression, a very unnatural emotion. People have killed because of chronic depression. Wars have started, nations have fallen. Anger is a natural emotion. It is the tool you have which allows you to say, no, thank you. It does not have to be abusive, and it never has to be damaging to another. When children are allowed to express their anger, they bring a very healthy attitude about it to their adult years, and therefore usually move through their anger very quickly. Children who are made to feel that their anger is not okay, that it is wrong to express it, and in fact that they shouldn't even experience it, will have a difficult time appropriately dealing with their anger as adults. Anger that is continually repressed becomes rage, a very unnatural emotion. People have killed because of rage. Wars have started, nations have fallen. Envy is a natural emotion. It is the emotion that makes a 5-year-old wish he could reach the doorknob the way his sister can, or ride that bike. Envy is the natural emotion that makes you want to do it again, to try harder, to continue striving until you succeed. It is very healthy to be envious, very natural. When children are allowed to express their envy, they bring a very healthy attitude about it to their adult years, and therefore usually move through their envy very quickly. Children who are made to feel that envy is not okay, that it is wrong to express it, and in fact that they shouldn't even experience it, will have a difficult time appropriately dealing with their envy as adults. Envy that is continually repressed becomes jealousy, a very unnatural emotion. People have killed because of jealousy. Wars have started, nations have fallen. Fear is a natural emotion. All babies are born with only two fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. All other fears are learned responses brought to the child by its environment, taught to the child by its parents. The purpose of natural fear is to build in a bit of caution. Caution is a tool that helps keep the body alive. It is an outgrowth of love, love of self. Children who are made to feel that fear is not okay, that it is wrong to express it, and in fact, that they shouldn't even experience it, will have a difficult time appropriately dealing with their fear as adults. Fear that is continually repressed becomes panic, a very unnatural emotion. People have killed because of panic. Wars have started, nations have fallen. Love is a natural emotion. When it is allowed to be expressed and received by a child, normally and naturally without limitation or condition, inhibition or embarrassment, it does not require anything more. For the joy of love expressed and received in this way is sufficient unto itself. Yet love, which has been conditioned, limited, warped by rules and regulations, rituals and restrictions, controlled, manipulated, and withheld, becomes unnatural. Children who are made to feel that their natural love is not okay, that it is wrong to express it, and in fact that they shouldn't even experience it, will have a difficult time appropriately dealing with love as adults. Love that is continually repressed becomes possessiveness, a very unnatural emotion. People have killed because of possessiveness. Wars have started, nations have fallen. And so it is that the natural emotions, when repressed, produce unnatural reactions and responses. And most natural emotions are repressed in most people. Yet these are your friends. These are your gifts. These are your divine tools with which to craft your experience. You are given these tools at birth. They are to help you negotiate life. So God very clearly goes into each of the natural emotions that we tell our children and tell ourselves, this can't be here. You can't feel this. And when that is taken away from a child, and when we take it away from ourselves, it becomes warped and changes into something else. So tonight I just wanted to highlight the importance of allowing our emotions to be welcome, to surround them with love and light, to allow them to be, and to allow that energy to come up for healing so that we may be free. So that is what I have tonight in terms of a lesson. Does anybody have any thoughts, comments, input on what we learned tonight?
Powerful.
Yeah.